Hello, it's Mike Rhyner of Your Dark Companion here, wanting to thank you all for joining us on patreon.com throughout the year, or that portion of the year that we've been doing this. Also, don't forget to check out the Sunset Lounge. There you can find podcasts such as The Clubhouse. The Clubhouse is your one-stop shop for all things sports, pop culture, entertainment, pro wrestling. Who knows what else these guys might get into. I love these guys. They're great. Since 2010, they brought their knowledge and passion for these subjects and so much more to the internet in a way that is entertaining and engaging. Their show is family friendly, so it's okay to sit down with grandma and be a part of all their shenanigans. They are the Clubhouse. They're at the Sunset Lounge.
Nobody would have thought that I would be the one. Rhyner, sports talk. Baseball, 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 baseball.
Oh, with the big mic. Oh, okay. All right, yeah. Okay, now I get it.
We got a lightning strike, boys. What happened over there, Grego? We had a little lightning strike right outside the window.
All right. Here's a tip for all these Americano League teams.
Wait, you said tip?
Yeah, tip.
Okay.
With a P.
Keep jamming.
The ticket, colon, nothing but a big Gen X jerk-off sake.
This is a cool night or what?
Although somebody would hear that and go, bullshit.
I'm back, bitches.
Hello to you, wherever you may be. It is another episode of Your Dark Companion that we have for you here today. We thank you for being with us, no matter where you may be, no matter when you may be receiving this podcast. What did I say? Transmissions, what I meant. I'm sorry. Yeah, already made a mess of things today. But yes, we are here and we are ready to roll one more time with Your Dark Companion. It is Monday, the 17th of March, which means it is St. Patrick's Day. So be careful out there. St. Patrick's Day can tend to get a little crazy, can tend to get a little goofy. The later you get on in the day, the more out of control people get. And you got to watch out for them out there today. So everybody, make sure that you do that.
You having an Irish sweet tea?
Am I having an Irish sweet tea?
Yeah.
Yes, I am, as a matter of fact.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
That's why the show got off to a weird start.
That's why I can't talk. Well, we have Shoopy and Ashley and Becca and Mickey in here today. And me and our guest this afternoon is a person that I have a great deal of professional respect and personal admiration for, because she has handled her business over the years in a way that you can't hardly find fault with. She is Gina Miller. You've seen her on TV over the years. Now, dig this title. She is the Vice President of Broadcast, Media, and Communications for FC Dallas. Good to have you.
Mike, it's so good to be here with you, and that means so much coming from you. Seriously, it means so
Well, I mean
much
it.
for you to say that. It means so much, and to be here with Ashley and Groobs and everybody in here, it's like a warm hug with a lot of familiar faces, but hearing you say that means a lot.
Well, I mean it. I mean, you've conducted your affairs over the years in a way that is just spotless.
Doesn't feel that way sometimes, does it?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't for any of us, but if you try to do it and you get as close to it as you've gotten, then you pulled it off pretty well.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you.
I would say. Now, you've been, I got a lot of stuff I want to get into with you here about your time in the media game and everything like that. You've been on the air in Dallas, Fort Worth, L.A., Knoxville, and Guam.
The big G, Guam. Yeah.
How'd that come about?
So you're old enough, I think you and I are the only ones in this room old enough to remember electronic media and broadcasting and cable magazines. Remember those magazines back in the 90s?
Yeah.
And going out of school, graduating from the University of Houston in the mid-90s, those were the job search Bible because people weren't going on the internet like we do today to find job postings. And in the back of electronic media and broadcasting and cable, there were all these ads that said, come work in a tropical paradise. And I'm a senior in college, sending out resume tapes at $3.76 a pop, right? Sending out resume tapes, 5 tapes a week, getting rejection after rejection. And that's the TV and media business, right? It's how many rejections can you handle before you get your first yes.
Yeah.
We all know this.
People saying we wish you well in your future
Yeah.
endeavors.
Oh, yeah. I had rejection letters from CBS 11 and WFAA, both 2 TV stations I ended up working at about a decade later. But regardless, so Guam, KUAM TV in Guam, was the first station to say, you know what? Yes, they were looking to hire a female to be a female sportscaster. I was the first full-time female sportscaster on the island, and I was 22 years old, fresh out of college, went to live on the Philippine Sea. It was amazing. Now, I didn't handle it so well. I was 22, fresh out of college, living on the beach around a military base. Your girl here had a lot of fun.
Okay,
That way.
okay.
A lot of fun.
That's fair. I mean, you were 22 years old. That's what they do.
Absolutely. And at my age now, at 50, I could not go do this now. Right. And so and I had a lot of conversations with people in the business whom I respected, like Matt Musil down in Houston. I think you probably know Matt, and people here in Dallas, the great Susie Woodhams. And I'm like, am I crazy to do this? Should I just stay in Houston, be a producer, move back to Dallas? I'm like, no, go to Guam. You'll never be able to do this again in your life. And you're the anchor, you're the reporter, you're the photographer, you're the producer, you're the editor, you're the scheduler, you're the booker, you're the teleprompter operator for the news anchor who's doing the news that night. I mean, did everything. Best experience, learned so much. A lot of fun.
Wow.
A lot of fun.
Yeah, a lot of people are probably hearing this and saying, man, I wish I would have done something like that when I was 22.
Completely. That people should too. Anybody young, and I talk to so many aspiring young sports media professionals, and there are fewer and fewer wanting to get in the industry because it's such a difficult industry to jump into right now. But I tell them you're going to have to move. You're not going to start in Dallas, although some people do. If they're a pageant person or they're the son or daughter of somebody who owns a sports team or something. There are ways, but most of us will have to go to small markets to do this. I'm like, go to Biloxi, Mississippi, go to Guam, go to Paducah, go to these markets that are in the middle of the country or in the middle of nowhere, like your friend over here, and learn, screw up in front of far fewer people than if you were to screw up in Dallas. Learn from your mistakes, grow, and come back home or wherever you want to go.
Now, as Vice President of Broadcasting, Media, and Communications for a sports franchise.
It's a title, yeah.
It is a title. Yeah. What does that entail exactly?
A lot.
I mean, clearly you ride herd over the leering press.
which and in soccer, it's very different, right?
Yeah.
Very different. I tell this when my sort of talk version of this or my presentation version, when I was a reporter, I didn't like PR people. Sarah Melton, John Blake, those folks aside, who we love so much, those folks. I didn't like a lot of PR people because they just didn't get the story. They really just didn't get the story. They didn't get the deadlines we were on because as a journalist, your deadline is usually now.
Mm-hmm.
When you email someone, your deadline's usually now. And a lot of PR people just didn't get that. So I don't identify as a PR person. I still identify as a storyteller. So I tell people I'm the chief storyteller for FC Dallas, North Texas SC, Toyota Stadium, which is undergoing a huge renovation, and the National Soccer Hall of Fame, which is the Hall of Fame of record for soccer in this country, which is located right in Frisco, Texas at Toyota Stadium. And we tell our stories through our own content, the content we produce on digital and social media, through our broadcasts, our game broadcasts that we air on MLS Season Pass on Apple TV, and then, of course, through the media by pitching stories to the media to get them to serve as the megaphone for us.
So, I mean, you've been in this game for so long. Mm-hmm. And did you miss the being on the air aspect of it? Or are you still on the air? And how?
Yep. So I'm like an old nag who will come out of retirement when anybody calls my number. So my friends at NBC,
Hello.
Yeah, exactly. So my friends at NBC5, they need a fill-in anchor every now and then. I mean, reading a teleprompter isn't that tough. If anybody tells you it's the hardest thing in the world, it's easy and it's fun work. And I do miss being, not on TV every night, but telling stories every night and hosting my own sports show like what you're doing now. I miss that so much, getting to meet a diverse range of people and visit with them and tell their stories, whether it's a young girl at DeSoto High School overcoming brain cancer or Dirk Nowitzki sitting right across the desk from you to talk about the NBA Finals and promote his celebrity softball game.
Right.
I miss that. I miss getting to meet so many wonderful, amazing people, which I certainly get to do now. But, there's nothing like being on TV every night. There isn't. Anybody who tells you differently, and I'll tell you, I tell this to all my anchor friends who are like, Gina, you got out of the business. Life is so much easier. I'm like, no, it's so much easier in that anchor desk. You will not make this kind of money in the real world doing shift work. Because basically, it's very difficult. Being an anchor or being a show host is very difficult, but it's a shift job. We're not strap planning. We're planning our guests, maybe, and planning our stories. But
Right.
I was a sports anchor for 20 years. I didn't do one strap plan. And when my bosses came to me and said, do a strap plan, Gina, Google's strap plan, not
Yeah,
so
what the hell
much,
is that?
but exactly a strategic plan, your 5-year strategic plan. And certainly the pressure from an appearance standpoint is a lot. The performance aspect of it, I loved that job so much. And I tell everyone I would go back in a heartbeat, but it's a different media landscape now. And we kind of have to create our own media opportunities now because it's a very different economy and different landscape on the media side.
What kind of differences do you see in it from where you sit?
Certainly, I worked in local TV news primarily my entire career. I worked for the Cowboys for a stint on the Cowboys TV department, and they're like a network unto themselves. They truly are. They do that media aspect of things so beautifully, and they're truly like a Big Five network. They're so good at that. But I worked in local TV news the majority of my career, and I love local TV news because it's a community partner, and just like a local radio station or a local paper is.
Right.
It is a community partner. It's not just, a journalist going out to get you. It's a partner in the community to help engage people and connect people and tell the important stories, whether it's the Mavs winning a championship, a big traffic alert, or a big tornado, or whatever it is. That was a little down there, but it's. Certainly the opportunities in local TV news have contracted over the years, particularly in sports. And, when I left TV news, I was a consultant at a consulting firm, and I was one of those dreaded consultants. And I learned more about the business of TV news than I ever did in the previous 20 years in my time with Smith Geiger, because I understood the challenges from an economic standpoint that these big media companies face with reduced ad rates. And, we're very much a narrowcast society now versus a big broadcast society. Right. We don't see the numbers, NFL aside, maybe, we don't see the numbers that we used to see anymore. So advertisers are not paying as much as they used to pay. And sort of those salad days of local TV news are gone. I've been offered a number of opportunities in the local TV news business that, if I was a housewife who didn't have to have a family who relied on my income, I'd do it in a heartbeat. But I couldn't afford to go back in that industry at this time. I think at the network level, certainly you're seeing some changes. We just saw layoffs at MSNBC, CNN. There are certain media companies who do things differently. You look at Bloomberg, for example, who really does just a phenomenal job. They're a little bit different because you would look at their business product. The terminal is their primary product, not the media aspect of things. So I just think the economy of the media industry is very different. And those media companies are really trying to figure it out, how to engage people on social media. I have a 13-year-old daughter, and she has a TV in her room. She's never turned it on. Never. And I try and get her to watch the news with me, and that's just inconceivable to me, right? I was watching Fantasy Island on Saturday at 9 o'clock every Saturday night on my TV in my room growing up when I was her age. And that's just not the habit that these younger children have. So these media companies are trying to figure out how to engage these consumers so they can continue to stay in business as part of their 5-10-year strap plan to stay relevant in the industry and make money at the end of the day.
So what do you tell people? And I know you probably get this quite a bit from all kinds of people because, hell, even I still do.
Absolutely.
But when people want to get into the game, what do you tell them?
I tell them there's certainly an opportunity for them because you look at the opportunity to tell a story. A good story has always resonated. We used to tell story with hieroglyphics, right? And then we told stories on the radio, the old-timey radio and news and Edward R. Murrow. That's the big J coming out in me, right? Then we told stories with magazines and newspapers. Then TV, local TV news with these big, huge 60-pound cameras that you saw Arnold Payne from Channel 8 carry to every sporting event, right? Now we're telling stories with this, with our cell phones. So you have to figure out a way to tell a story creatively that engages an audience. Good story is always going to resonate. I mean, the OJ story, right? For what it's worth, we all know how that story ends. But every time they do a retake on the OJ story or a remake on that story, it gets record ratings because the story is so compelling. And a new producer always finds a way to tell that story in a creative, compelling way. So I tell young people, and I do this, I'm getting ready to speak at Hank Dickinson's class. I know you've spoken there. Groob speaks there quite a bit. At the University of North Texas' sports broadcasting class, I tell them to start now. Engage on social media, start creating content on social media, or whatever it is you want to do. If you want to be a photographer, start shooting. If you want to be an audio editor, start recording audio and showcasing your skills. Start now, find a way to tell creatively your story and the stories that you are interested in telling, and there'll be a place for you. Because I believe media companies will always exist, maybe in different formats, maybe not big Tegna, big B-Lo, but in a different way. But there will always be an opportunity to tell a great story.
Man, I rue the day, or rue the fact that when I was first coming up and when you were first coming up, we couldn't do that like you can today.
You could not.
You know?
And so many of these kids, Ryan's, and I tell them, there's probably one, Ashley being one of them, I would tell them, start now. Start now. If you start now, I tell this to high school kids and college kids, start now. If you start now, you're going to be so further ahead of your competition when you're applying for a job in 2 to 3 years. And how many of those kids do it? 1 out of 10. I mean, I can just look and see when I tell them to get a free website, doesn't cost a thing, get a free Instagram account or TikTok account, start creating content. It's going to suck at first because we all suck at first and we continue to grow as broadcast professionals or videography professionals. But just start. Learn from your mistakes. Learn your voice. Learn your movements and your body language. Learn how your editing styles. Learn what you like and what you're good at. Start now. By the time you're graduating, you may not need a job. You may be able to monetize your brand in a way that's doing pretty well. We have a former intern who worked for us at FC Dallas. He's in college right now. He's such a great storyteller. He's doing 6-figure brand deals, I think is a sophomore, junior at Florida State. Bro ain't gonna need a job. Not gonna need a job because he got creative on social media, on TikTok, an incredible TikTok storyteller, and he's getting 6-figure brand deals.
Now, you also, another thing you do, and you've got your fingers in a lot of different pies. But, you know, again, it's what you have to do.
You have to do it.
That's right.
Yeah.
You help Fortune 500 guys, executives, people who are not used to being on camera, not used to, you know, dealing with getting up in front of a lot of people and speaking. You help them get ready to do that. How? What are some of the things you try to get over to them?
It's so funny because you can, and you see this all the time. People who are so good, the captain of their industry, and you put a microphone or a camera or somebody who wants to question them about something in front of them, and you see their body language freeze. You know, if they're tall, they kind of shrink. If whatever size they are, sometimes they try to stand too big, which isn't authentic to them. And it's just interesting to see people get so hung up when it comes to speaking, presenting, or talking to the media in front of a microphone, in front of a camera. And first and foremost, I just tell them that, you know, this is a conduit. This is just a vehicle to get to the other person on the other side of the camera, radio, phone, whatever it is, the medium is, the person in the audience. And particularly for speaking engagements and people who are listening to interviews, the number one mindset shift I share is nobody wants you to fail. Nobody wants you to fail. If you're up there giving a keynote or you're delivering an interview, people want to soak up what it is that you have to offer, your expertise. If you're the CEO of a Fortune 500 company, you've done a few things right, and you've probably made a number of mistakes that would be valuable for people to learn from. So once they get over that mindset shift of being fearful and, you know, thinking that people want them to fail, once they realize that people want them to succeed and learn from them, the rest is kind of easy. It's really just broadcast performance and delivery. You know, I mean, learning to stop the filler words, like I just said, you know, just very working on your body language. If you're really big, you probably can't do big gestures like me. You know, man hands Miller comes into play a lot here because my hands are so big, and I remember people talking about me like that. But, you know, if you're smaller, you have to kind of make a little bit more size. And we work on speed of delivery, cadence, punching the impact words for message resonance, that sort of a thing. But once you get through the mindset shift and you understand what it is you're trying to accomplish, the rest is pretty easy. And it's practice. I mean, it's just like being an athlete. It's practice and repetition.
practice.
We talk about practice.
That's right. We
Thank
are
you,
talking
AI.
about practice.
We talk about practice. Yeah.
Can you teach me how to do all those things?
I can. Body
I'm
language.
so bad at all this.
No, you're not.
I'm having fun.
You are. And see, that's what people want to hear from you. They want to hear Groobs, and they want to hear Groobs having fun.
Oh.
That's right.
All right,
They do.
that's enough.
He's
Back
the
to y'all.
ambassador of fun.
He is.
So what's it like getting athletes ready to do this? Because athletes are used to dealing with the media, but they deal with the media in a very certain, very particular way. And a lot of the time, if they're going to go out there and do some speaking or something like that, the tables kind of can turn on them real easy.
And it's so funny because I just asked a player to do something for me at an event we're hosting next week. I said, I need you to speak for 5 minutes about the impact Toyota Stadium has made on a player like you who came up through our youth and academy system. And Ashley knows this guy, Paxton Pomacall. Nobody better, right? Ashley knows Paxton. I mean, FC Dallas
He's
homegrown. I want him to get to speak about something for us. And a couple things. I just had media training with FC Dallas players about 2 weeks ago. And we didn't go long or in depth. We detail that there are certain things you have to do. Certain things you got to do. We are required. And I don't know that the NFL, NBA, NHL, MLB do this. I'm assuming they do, given the media availabilities. But MLS, Major League Soccer, players got to be available after the game. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts around it. You got to be available during the week to talk to media. And you know, a lot of players and even their agents in this day and age say, is the media still valuable? Yes, it is so valuable to be the megaphone for you and your brand, because social media, right? A guy like Cristiano Ronaldo who has hundreds of millions of followers on Instagram, certainly he's pretty valuable when it comes to him posting something or sharing his perspective. And I admit to bias here because I still believe that credible, legitimate, objective journalists have a real value to us in society. And I think having a real credible, Abraham Noodle Stahar from the Dallas Morning News telling a story about us does more for us than we can buy through marketing and things of that nature. A good, strong, objective, well-told story on any of the TV stations or a good, strong radio interview can do so much for us in terms of legitimacy, credibility. Our fans and fans of other teams, I know, research shows that some people base their level of fan avidity on the amount of media coverage a team has. They want to be legitimized by a team that's on TV or in the paper or on the radio. But for players, it's so funny because players are a lot like these Fortune 500 guys who are so good at what they do. They can stand there and take a penalty kick in front of 50,000 people and be just fine and not nervous. Get them in front of 100 fans or season ticket members or executives, and they kind of freeze up a little bit. And it's the same mindset. Be comfortable, know your stuff, practice and repetition, which resonates really well because guys get it. I say, you train your abs, you train your legs, you practice your corner kicks, got to practice talking because all you're doing is talking. The one thing that really resonates with them, in addition to the practice aspect of media training, is that we know that being an athlete is such a short window relative to their entire life. And the seeds that they plant today as players, when they will have more publicity and more eyeballs and more attention on them than they ever will, for the most part, unless they go into media or something. Right. Pat McAfee's a good outlier in that sort of story. But taking advantage of this time when they're playing, when all the eyeballs are on them and they have the microphones in front of them, that creates so many opportunities for them beyond their playing days. And you and I have worked with so many guys who were not the star player when they were a player, and they've gone on to do pre or post game shows with me or go on the radio and do segments or go on TV and do shows. And they've been phenomenal. And they've had those opportunities because they weren't jackholes to the media. They were gracious. They stood up. They manned up, if you will, because they're usually men that we're talking about here. They manned up, and they've created so many opportunities in their post-playing days, whether it's career opportunities, sponsorship opportunities, business opportunities, that they really understand the value of that. And so I just try to communicate that very clearly, that the seeds you plant today create those opportunities when you're done playing. And once we put them in the money and financial terms, you kind of see them get it. Some people don't. Some guys don't, and they're just, and I'll level with a reporter. I'm like, you don't want to talk to that guy. He's not a good interview. Yeah. You just don't want to do it. Don't waste your time.
I always appreciated guys who would do that.
Wouldn't you? And you so much, and you've ended up doing shows with those guys afterwards, or long form interviews. And look, I'll level with you too, and you know this too. When a guy is going through a rough stretch or he screws up, you're going to talk about it. But if he's not a jackhole, if you will.
If you will.
If you will. Yeah, I want to use the more crass term. But,
Go for it.
if he's not an asshole,
Yeah.
right? If he's not an asshole, you're going to be...
We're not regulated by the FCC in here.
Thank you. But you know this. You know, if somebody's an asshole to you and he's going through a rough stretch, you're going to come down on him pretty hard and maybe talk about him in a way and be critical of his play. But if he's not an asshole, and he's a nice guy and he mans up and he's there for post, or he just comes up and shakes your hand, whether you need to talk to him or not, and he's going through that rough stretch, you're still going to be objective and critical. But you're probably not going to be as harsh on him because he wasn't an asshole to you.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, we've seen that time and again.
I always appreciated the guys who, no matter what had happened out there, no matter how bad it may have been, no matter how bad they may have been, you really develop a high level of appreciation for the guy who, when you come up to him in the room after it's over, he will turn around. You can tell that he doesn't really want to do this, but he does it anyway.
Right.
But he does it anyway, and he gives you some good shit.
Right. And you know how hard that is. Because we have a bad show. We don't want to talk to our producer. When I had a bad show on CBS, I did not want to talk to Dandy Colleen or Lewis Jackson or Cody Winstead or Chris Bullock. I just wanted to go sit in the car and cry, you know? But you got to do those things. That's such a small scale. But I just have so much respect for those athletes who do get up there, whether it's a press conference setting or it's a scrum of 30 reporters and photographers around you trying to get that story and that post-game analysis. I'm right there with you. I just have so much respect for those people.
Did your producers critique your work that closely?
No, we would talk about errors. And I wish they did. I wish I did get more constructive feedback on, because I'm one of those people who, you know, former basketball player, not well, but, you know, I loved getting good constructive feedback, and I wish I'd gotten more over my career.
Yeah.
Whether it was for performance, how I told a story, how I wrote a story, I wish I got more writing feedback. You know, as a consultant, my job was to really provide candid, constructive feedback to help a reporter, anchor, meteorologist, producer grow professionally. Mm-hmm. And I just wish I'd gotten more of that in my career.
Are there any that you have provided that service for that you've seen flourish and go on to really big things, or maybe really improve what they do?
Well, I can tell you when I had to sign a couple NDAs with people we worked with at Smith Geiger, but we worked with some high profile networks while we were there, and you know, I worked with a lot of people in smaller markets, and I can't think of anyone who's come up into this market or another one, because I've kind of lost contact with them. But but you've seen them, but you would see them grow almost immediately, because I mean the stuff that, and you know this, when you're coaching someone, whether it's a free throw shooting coach or a broadcast performance coach, these simple tips and tricks just absolutely make a difference.
They do.
They do. Yeah.
This is the great Gina Miller here. And right now it is time for the mid-roll read. This is where I tell you that your dark companion is hitting the road once again. We will be at Doc B's in Uptown, 2021 McKinney Avenue. This will be this Thursday, March 20, 3 days from now. We'll be there at 3 o'clock. So come on out, hang with us. There's a Stars game that night. Stop by, say hi, get a little pregame going, grab dinner. You know it's better than arena food, so what the hell, why not? You can also win passes to YDC's first music roundtable. Now, this is coming up at the Kessler Theater on April 21st, and you're going to want to get there early because we're giving away Stars tickets for that night's game. That's 2 tickets. Parking for the Stars game, March 20th. Get to Doc B's early, win, pregame, have dinner. Head over to the arena, get your head right with fun, good food, a little good times with me, Shoopy. And, oh, yeah, by the way, Grego is coming out there with us. And I believe his Expo's coming too.
He'll be there for about the first hour.
Yeah, so this is going to be an OG hardline get-together. So come see us, Doc B's, 2021 McKinney Avenue, Uptown Dallas. This is Thursday, March 20th. We will be there starting at 3.
How was that prompt to read?
That was wonderful.
See?
But I might swing by because we're going to the Stars game that night.
Hell yeah.
One
That'd
of
be
our
awesome.
players, Lucho Acosta, MLS MVP 2023, he's doing a jersey upgrade at the Stars game that night. So
Nice.
might see
Come
it.
on over.
Yeah, I might do that, yeah.
Maybe you could win
bring
tickets
him
too.
All right. That's pretty good. That'd be great for you to come over and hang out with us.
Yeah.
All right, this is the great Gina Miller. You've seen her on Channel 8. You have seen her where else over the years?
CBS 11, TXA 21, now NBC 5, the Dallas Cowboys Silver Star Network,
Man,
KCBS, KCAL. Yeah.
She has killed it everywhere she's been. Now she is the vice president for broadcasting, media, and communications for FC Dallas. That's a very, very all-encompassing title.
It's and you know this. Comms people are the kings and queens of just getting shit done. I mean, you know what?
Yeah,
You need
that's
something
right.
done. You just kind of get the shit done. John Blake, what did he do? He got it done. Sarah Melton, Scott Tomlin, they got it done.
Yep.
Right? I mean, we're the get it done people.
Speaking of John Blake, we are very curious how this season goes with this being the first one that he's not the full-time PR man. Like, Shoopy's got a theory that pretty much the first time some PR thing happens that doesn't go like he expects, he's going to jump right back in the ring.
Right here.
Yeah.
Right here. He's coming off the
Coming
bench.
from the bullpen.
Well,
Yeah.
I had lunch with him 3-4 years ago now, and he'd been talking about a transition for quite some time, right? I mean, he'd been talking about what the future holds very smartly, planting the seeds now for what the future holds, and there's no way he'd be ready to do anything we talked about because he continued in such a valuable capacity for the Rangers, got them through so much with the new stadium and public affairs and communication and MLB All-Star Game. I think it'll be very difficult for him to watch from the bench, if you will.
Yeah,
Very
I
difficult.
think it will too. But, and you know John for a long time.
Love him.
You may find this a little bit surprising, but he has been in here and sat in that chair.
Yes.
We have had him on with us.
Great.
I had the idea of asking him to do it, but then I just went, nah, he would never do anything like that, But I don't know. I just kept going back and forth on it over a period of days, and finally I just said, all right, screw it. The worst that can happen is he says, no, I'm not interested.
Yeah.
So I called him up, or I sent him a text or something like that, or however I did it, and said, John, would you be interested in coming on the podcast? And he said, I would be honored.
I love that. I love that.
And we had him in here, and the whole time we had him, I could tell that this has not left him yet.
No.
Usually when you walk away from it, you do so because you've just lost your vibe for it. There's a good part of you that used to do it, and that part you just can't get in touch with that anymore.
That's from his retirement video, if you didn't know.
You devil. And I just didn't get that was happening with John. I mean, we'll see. He may be one of those guys who, when he decides he's finally going to force himself to do it, then he will do it.
Or Harriet forces him.
Yeah, or Harriet
Yeah.
forces him. But I don't know. I had him in here, and he talked a good game and everything like that. But the first time something goes wrong, or something doesn't go the way they wanted it to go, and they call him, like, what would you have done? He won't say, I'll tell you what I've done. He'll say, let me show you what I've done.
He'll come right in and he'll manage and lead everything the way he does. He'll do what he do, to steal from Ron Washington, so to speak. I mean, I totally agree with you. I think it's still in him in a way that will call him and keep him so close to the organization, A, but B, I think we'll see him at games and events and other things.
Do you enjoy that aspect of the job?
Which one?
Doing game notes and all that kind of stuff.
I don't do that. I have a team.
Okay, all right, okay.
And you don't want me doing that, right? I mean, I did them when I was an intern for the Houston Rockets. I did game notes during the 94-95 season when they won their second title. I did game notes. But
Did you get a ring?
I did. I should have worn it. I should have worn it. I did. It's so funny. The not to promote another podcast, but Vernon Maxwell is on the Matt Barnes, Steven Jackson podcast. And I just relived so many of those crazy moments from the 94-95 season listening to Vernon Maxwell talk about that. I just listened to it this morning. But I did do game notes then, but I have a great team. Edwin, Michael, and Raul, they handle the game notes and those sorts of things. I try and just really focus on big picture stuff. And you know this, with our owners being the Hunt family, there are a lot of requests for both Clark and Dan Hunt. So I manage a lot of those things appropriately and try and make sure that we're telling that story as well, honoring Lamar Hunt's vision in that regard.
Is Clark around very much?
He is. He really focuses on the Kansas City Chiefs side of business, whereas Dan Hunt is the president of FC Dallas, and he's in the office every day. He's in the office every single day. His office is right next door to mine. Clark's at every game and is in the office quite a bit also. But his focus primarily is on the Kansas City Chiefs. But Clark and Dan are in conversation almost daily about FC Dallas business and when big moves are made, things of that nature. Clark's opinion weighs very heavily on the overall outcome.
I mentioned that just because, back in the day in that other life, we had him on the air with us a couple of times. And he did, talk about FC Dallas a little bit. He's a great guy.
He is. They're both great. They're
enjoyed him
fun.
quite a
They're
bit.
great. They're good storytellers. They're Dallas guys. I mean, they both live in Dallas, and they're sports fans. They still own a portion of the Bulls, as well. So they're fun to work for.
Now, you, as a woman in this game for a long time, have been in your fair share of locker rooms. What is it like to be a woman in a man's locker room in the world of sports?
As I got older, it wasn't a big deal. But early on, first going into the Houston Rockets locker room, I was thrown in there, and there's Robert Ory, Vernon Maxwell, Otis Thorpe, and I was 20 years old. You can just hear now the discomfort that I had, because you see everything, you really do, and especially back then in the mid '90s. Then went to the Cowboys locker room. I was in there every single day when I moved back home to Dallas after working in Knoxville for 2.5 years. If you're in there, whether you're a man or a woman, you're in there to do a job. You're just in there to do a job.
Sure.
And if you treat everyone as you would like to be treated as a professional, well, certain occasions that won't happen. I was sprayed with antiperspirant by a Cowboys offensive lineman when I was working for the team and trying to get a team story from him or a team interview from him. But if you treat everyone professionally and respectfully, generally speaking, gender aside, they treat you well. Now, certainly, I've benefited from wearing nice perfume, and guys have said, "Oh my gosh, you smell so much better than that guy who smells a little sweaty," and I'm euphemizing the statement there.
Yeah,
I mean, you smell better, or things of that nature. They said those things. Your skin is softer when they shake your hand. Things I probably wouldn't say to a guy. But as I got older, mid to late 30s, I'd been in this market for so long that they just all saw me as a mom or a woman. I remember when I was pregnant with my daughter, I was in the locker room, and Dana Larson and Emily Jones and I were all pregnant at the same time. And I remember Jason Terry offering me a chair so I could sit down while I was pregnant. It wasn't that big of a deal as I got older. I will tell you, going into a new locker room for the first time, I've probably I took for granted going into a new locker room, like when I went to LA, or even when I came back to work for FC Dallas full time. Going into those locker rooms for the first time, and I didn't have that rapport and comfort with the guys that I had with the Mavs or the Rangers or the Stars or the Cowboys that I did over the years. That was a little bit of a different experience, and I had to remember, I gotta introduce myself to these guys, let them know who I am, let them know I'm here to do a job, let them know who I work for, what I do for a living, just so they're not wondering what this girl's in there doing. The one thing I do tell everyone is just look up. Don't look down. Just look up. Look up.
Yeah.
You're not going to see anything if you look up. Just look up. Keep focused on your pad, your reporter's notebook. Just look up.
Guy or girl, you learned that.
I'm pretty sure she said that exact same thing to me the first time I walked into a Cowboys locker room. Like, to a T. Just stare up. Just stare
Looks
up.
like a penis.
Yeppers.
I believe that's the word for it. So what do you tell people when they come up to you and say, "I want a sports career too"? What do you tell them? I mean, is this something worth going after anymore?
I think it is. I mean, it's the first thing I tell them. I've got a whole deck ready for if anybody calls me and they want me to speak to their group or they're aspiring young sports media professional. First of all, I want to see the kid call me versus the parents call me, right? I mean, you got to see that because it's the kid who's going to have to do the work. And every industry's great, but I think this industry is the best because as we sit in your studio here, you get to cover history.
Yes,
you get to
you
have
do.
a front row seat to history, whether it's Troy Aikman or Emmitt Smith breaking the all-time rushing record, or Dirk doing Dirk things, or just whatever it is. You get to be there for it. It's amazing. But gonna have
Or even Luka being traded.
Luka being traded. Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, my God. Okay. I mean, I get chills when you talk about it. But I tell them, and you guys know this, if you're going to work in the sports industry or the media industry, nights, weekends, and holidays for the rest of your life. And that weeds out about 70% of the people who want to do it. And they're like, really? Like, when does the Cowboys' biggest regular season game happen? Thanksgiving Day. What's the biggest regular season day in the NBA? Christmas Day. What do the Dallas Stars do every New Year's Eve, Groobs, or New Year's Day?
They play.
They play hockey. FC Dallas, when do they play? July 4th, every July 4th. Baseball, they play every freaking day. I mean, and it's Sunday, and it's nights, and it's a set. March Madness, I mean, it's nights, weekends, and holidays. And a lot of people are shocked by that. It's like the hospitality
Oh,
industry.
yes. You're on their schedule.
You are.
And that does not change.
It's not going to change. And if you're late, if you're habitually late, they're not going to move tip for you, right? They're not going to move the newscast or your radio hit time for you.
I tried to talk them out of that a few times and was never successful. Doesn't work.
So I tell them that. And then I tell them, "Hey, you're not going to make a lot of money. You know, I mean, the anchors at the Today Show and the ESPN anchors, they're making millions, multiple millions. I made $24,000 a year my first job, and that starting salary really hasn't scaled that much. You know, since 1996, I graduated in 96, it hadn't scaled. It just, the money, because it's so competitive, for every job opening, there are hundreds, if not thousands, of demo reels, inquiries for that job opportunity in a traditional media business, whether it's a newsroom, like a sportscaster, sports reporter, multi-skilled journalist is what they're called now, because everybody's shooting. Everybody's shooting now.
Right.
So the money's hard, but if you stick with it, if you persevere, if you do the work, build a great Rolodex of people who know you. I mean, again, this is a perfect testament to it. I've worked with everyone, almost everyone in this room here, right? You have to have a great Rolodex and network to move along and grow professionally. If you do the work, nights, weekends, and holidays, if you have a great network and you're willing to...
And you don't bitch about it.
You don't bitch. You can't bitch about it.
No.
You can't bitch about it. I mean, I know
Can't
people...
bitch, can't cry, just do it.
Just do it and be happy about it, because you're going to have... It's going to be more fun than sitting there doing spreadsheets in an office somewhere. It's going to be so much more fun going to Rangers BP or whatever, the Paducah whatever's BP, than it is sitting in an office doing a spreadsheet.
Yeah.
It is. It's so much fun. And you're going to have the most fun in those small markets. I mean, working in Knoxville and Guam, so much fun.
Now, that's something else.
So many military people.
Well, Knoxville was fun, too. I was like a college kid in Knoxville, too.
Now, how did that come about? That's kind of the red herring on your resume a little bit.
It's so crazy, and it's a testament to this industry. So, my senior year of college, while I was sending out all of those VHS resume tapes that second semester of my senior year, sent one to WBIR in Knoxville, and there was not an opportunity for me at the time, but after I mutually agreed to part ways with KUAM-TV in Guam. We know what that means. We know what that means. That's the PR woman in me.
We've all been there. We've all been there.
Yeah. WBIR happened to reach back out and said, now we're ready to hire someone. And they, too, wanted to hire a female sportscaster. They were looking specifically for that role. And I always say this, like, oh, well, you benefited from DEI or however you want to call it. I'm like, I was precluded from just as many, if not more, opportunities because there already was a woman in that market, or there already was a woman at that station. So I wouldn't have even been considered at the time. So they wanted to hire a female sportscaster, and they hired me. And let me tell you, you want to talk about being in the belly of the SEC beast? Peyton Manning's last year at Tennessee, got to cover it. Tennessee won the national championship in football with T. Martin at quarterback. The next year, got to cover the late, great Pat Summitt for 2 years of Lady Vol Final Four runs and one national championship. Tennessee baseball team. I mean, those Tennessee, Florida, Tennessee, Alabama football games, nothing like it. And it was just, it covered minor league baseball, the Knoxville Smokies. I mean, standing on a roof shooting baseball on $2 beer night on a Tuesday. There's nothing more fun. Made $27,000 a year. I mean, Taco Tuesday was our thing. It was so fun.
That was the most fun $27,000 you will ever have.
Went into debt, went into debt.
Of course.
Almost got my car repossessed. But you learn from all those mistakes. You learn from them all. I had to call my parents more times than I wanted to, but learned, moved on, and grew. It was so fun. God, it was so fun. It was so fun.
What's the biggest challenge you have faced as a media coach?
Gosh, people, the person failing. When they get up there and they don't stick to the talking point, or they just start flop sweating because they're so nervous, and they start talking so quickly you can't understand what they're saying, or they talk so uncomfortably slowly that it's just difficult to listen to or watch. I mean, and I've had all that happen before. And that is as the coach, if you will, a good coach looks at yourself and like, what did I do here that did not prepare this individual for success?
Yeah.
And so there's definitely that accountability factor that comes into play. But then too, you got to look at the person. Sometimes, are you trying to shoehorn a power forward into a point guard spot? I mean, maybe this person just isn't the right face of this franchise, or the right face of this company. Sometimes the CEO needs to be the face, but sometimes the CEO isn't the face, and we make it the CFO or the COO, that kind of person. So we have really tough conversations, or sometimes we just get back in the gym, whether it's just an office just like this, back in the gym and you get back to work. And I would say probably 7 times out of 10, it's more work that gets that person over the hump. We didn't practice and prepare enough. We just didn't practice our free throws enough, basically. But if after a couple more sessions, it's clear that this person might not be best suited for being that face of the organization, maybe we look at another team member to be that person who can represent the organization in the confident, commanding way this particular leader wants his or her organization be represented. And we're all aligned in that afterwards. We all tend to be aligned when that happens.
Now, can you think of a particularly big challenge? You don't have to name names here, anything like that. But as far as getting somebody ready for an interview or somebody ready for a speech, is there a particular episode that comes to mind? Yeah,
there are a couple. During COVID, we were the COVID team. FC Dallas. We, when COVID hit, here we are, 5 years out, basically. We were right in the thick of this 5 years ago this day. Everything shut down. I joke with Scott Tomlin from the Mavs that he shut down sports that night because he's the one who gave his phone to Mark Cuban, and you saw the look on Mark's face, and you saw him and Scott and Mark talking. But during COVID, every organization was trying to find a way to monetize and not lose revenue. And so Major League Soccer created the MLS is Back tournament in Orlando, Florida at the Disney Resort. And everybody had to be quarantined and confined and all these things. And we were the first team to come down with an outbreak of COVID. It was so bad at the time, and this was all so new for all of us. We didn't know what we were doing, right? People in hazmat uniforms came and grabbed this one player who was sort of patient zero on our franchise and took him away. And we're trying to figure out what the story is. I remained in Dallas because I couldn't go to this tournament with my daughter being here in Dallas.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, the FC Dallas delegation who was there, which included the team, coaches, trainers, 2 members of my staff, a reporter and a media relations manager, they had to be quarantined in their rooms for 3 weeks at the Disney Resort in Orlando, Florida. And it's not like, and some people had balconies, some people didn't. It was awful. And just having to manage and message through that, dealing with, player messaging and trying to get, and these guys, to their credit, they're in this room, this hotel room for 21 days. And our technical director at the time joked, he's like, I watched all of Netflix. I watched everything there is to see on Netflix. Some guys had balconies and they were trying to have fun with it, but just trying to tell our story and do interviews and trying to keep ourselves relevant with corporate sponsors and things of that nature. We tried a lot of things, trying to get them to throw spaghetti on the wall and get it to stick. And some things worked, a lot of things didn't during COVID. From immediate,
and this was like total confinement. Couldn't walk out of the room for anything.
Couldn't go out of the room. The hotel employees had to put food in front of their doors. It was
my God.
awful. It was awful.
That would make me so crazy.
I'm sure some of them were in hotel rooms of this size, right, for 3 weeks. And I don't know if the hotel room windows open. Some hotel room windows don't. Some guys had balconies so they could go outside on the balcony. And it was like Survivor, right? They're shirtless out there, just trying to do what they can do to not go stir crazy. And And that was a very challenging time. Again, we were trying to get people to do interviews to stay relevant. We were trying to manage the message because we were the COVID team. How do you manage that message? And there was not a playbook for that. And I'm sure I mangled all the messaging in the world at that time. I'm sure I mangled everything. And then, we're trying with sponsors to do things to stay relevant, so we're not in default of our sponsorship contracts. It was just so much, and that was such a learning opportunity. And I hope we never have to replicate that playbook from a media and content perspective, because that was tough. That was very, very tough. And to our team's credit, they tried very hard to kind of play ball with this, but it was difficult to even try and prepare them for an interview, because if I got an interview done with ESPN, I'm trying to just prepare them with some messaging and some talking points. And they're just trying to get some vitamin D because they've been confined to a room. It's
I can't imagine.
A very difficult time.
I can't imagine.
Yeah.
Looking back on that, I really got lucky there because I walked off right before that all came down. So I was not, terribly impacted by it or anything like that, or at least not as bad as others. And I didn't get sick. That was another thing. But man, for sports teams and sports franchises, that you got to play the games if you're going to meet your goals and make the money and all and everything else that goes with it. You got to play the games.
You do, and the media aspect of it, and the content aspect of it, and the broadcast aspect of it, and we were the COVID team, and we made news for all the wrong reasons. And we tried to really reverse that ship. And our head coach at the time, Luchi Gonzalez, to his credit, he did an interview on ESPN with Taylor Twellman and John Strong and John Champion, excuse me, and we talked for about an hour at the time, really prepping and preparing, and he killed it. He killed the interview. He just killed it. But he just needed someone to talk to during the prep session because, again, he's in a room. And I just can't imagine what the players, the staff, my team, what they went through during that time. And it was very, very challenging. And I don't begrudge anybody who said, nope, Gina, I'm not doing that interview. I get it, man. It's tough, but we had to do some things that were just so challenging at that time to get people to care about what we're doing in a positive way rather than being the COVID team. That was tough.
Well, we just talked about probably what was the biggest bummer of your sports career. What's the most fun you've ever had?
Oh my God. Every day at the office was fun. It really was. And I look back on that, and I remember I did an interview with you when I left CBS 11 in 2013, and I thought I was going to go on and do other things, and I didn't do a really good job at, my next business step. And I remember, as I was making my decision to not necessarily leave, but trying to think about my next step, I was like, and I had a really bad day at the office on the air at the time. And I was like, remember how bad this was? Is when you look back on it so that you don't regret this decision. And in hindsight, it was a minor thing, but it was just such a great... Working in the sports media industry is such an honor, and we get to do so many fun things. But to your point, I want to ring my first step in this industry with the Houston Rockets. That's like a rookie winning a championship the first year. It's all downhill after that. But it wasn't all downhill, but that your level of expectation is so high because, it's this easy. Everybody gets Akeem Olajuwon and Clyde Drexler. No, they don't. No, they don't. Obviously, and I didn't grow up a Rockets fan, but I obviously became a Rockets fan. I was a Mavs fan. I had the James Donaldson poster next to my bed, to measure my height. I got it at Tom Thumb in like 84. But obviously winning a ring with the Rockets and riding on the parade route in the hot Houston weather was so cool. Then coming back to work for the Dallas Cowboys, a team, I had a Doomsday Defense poster on my wall. Coming back to work for the Cowboys was amazing. We were 5-11, 5-11, 8-8. I was Chan Gailey my first year, followed by Dave Campo the next two seasons. So really 8-8, then 5-11, 5-11. Then getting to go work at Channel 8, which was a station I grew up watching, and then going to CBS 11 and TXA, getting to host Cowboys, Mavs, Stars pre- and post-game shows with Randy White, Derek Harper, Mark McLemore, Brent Severin. It was just amazing. But then, getting to cover the Mavs, I would say, in 2006, the loss to Miami here, and then being outside the locker room after they had just beaten Miami in Miami in 2011. And I was pregnant at the time, and I was the first person in line to get into the locker room, that they were nice to me because they let the fat pregnant lady up in the front row. And I heard them cheering and going crazy. And I was like, 13-year-old Gina would never believe that you are right outside the Mavericks locker room as they are pouring champagne and going crazy and doing all this stuff. And after winning that championship against the same Miami team who they just lost to 5 years earlier. And I remember Jason Terry came up to me afterwards and he's like, I know you can't drink any champagne right now, but he gave me a pennant from the locker room that was soaked in champagne. And I moved, 4 years ago, and I accidentally left that in my old house. And it just breaks my heart that I don't have that anymore. But that was just such an amazing moment. But then the Rangers going to the World Series in 10 and 11 and just the drama of that when we never thought that would happen.
No, we didn't.
Never thought that would happen. Then being a fan and watch them win the World Series. So, I mean, that Mavericks run, though, I mean, getting to cover those Mavericks teams and you sometimes you forget, or you don't appreciate the greatness when you experience and have that front row seat to that greatness firsthand. And getting to be a part of those Mavericks teams who are battling Tim Duncan and the Spurs in the conference finals or conference semis every year, battling those Kings teams. The Mavericks played Kobe and the Lakers en route to the finals, and Kobe would always stop and talk to Derek Harper and me because Derek played with Kobe during his rookie year. So I'm not so bold to say I had a great relationship with Kobe, but he was always so nice to me whenever I saw him, wherever I saw him. Just getting to cover those Mavs teams of the 2010s, early 2010s.
Yeah.
Also, just the best.
It was the best.
The best.
All right, now we got to talk a little bit about the World Cup in 2026.
Yepers, it's a big one.
How are things shaping up there?
Good. It's FIFA is so interesting. And I didn't have a great relationship with FIFA. I didn't have any relationship. It wasn't bad or good. I didn't have any relationship with FIFA, obviously, before I came to FC Dallas. But I've developed one, and I have such an appreciation for the global impact of this organization and this tournament. 9 games are coming to AT&T Stadium in Arlington, the most of any of the 16 host cities. Obviously, Dallas got the International Broadcast Center. That was announced almost 2 weeks ago. And I think it's a testament to the leadership and the economic climate and the business climate and the responsiveness that we have here in Dallas-Fort Worth. I mean, this is what we do in North Texas. We all know this, right? Don't have beaches, don't have mountains. We have football games, basketball games, hockey games, volleyball, soccer. We have these things here.
Yeah, we got to make our own stuff.
We do. We do it so well. And I think the bid committee, Dan Hunt, our team president at FC Dallas, is the chairperson of the Dallas host committee for the bid, and he's also going to co-chair it, the actual committee itself, as we track towards 26. His brother Clark was the chairman of the Kansas City bid committee also. But Monica Paul working with the Cowboys, just to be able to bring all of this here. I'll never forget, I was at Norma Hunt's funeral, Clark and Dan's mother's funeral, and Jerry Jones was there, and Jerry comes up to me, and I've known him forever, and I love him. I love Jerry. And he's like, Gina, whatever we need to do to make this the biggest and best World Cup in Dallas, you tell me. We're going to make it happen. I mean, he's like, you tell me, whatever we need to do. And you know Jerry, I'll make it happen. And make it happen. He's
not blowing smoke.
No, he's not blowing smoke either. I think there was a little disappointment because our stated goal was to get the World Cup final in Arlington, and we ended up getting a semifinal. So 9 matches plus a semifinal. And I think in hindsight, the final was always going to go to New York, New Jersey, because you look at previous World Cups, final in Paris, final in Rome, final in Munich, the cities that are the global cities.
Yeah, the most
outside.
International.
Yes. But I think, Dallas, Fort Worth, now that phrase is DFWAF. You know this, right? Dallas, Fort Worth, Arlington, Frisco, DFWAF. Now I think, we are a global city, and I think the International Broadcast Center is truly going to cement our status as such. Obviously, we had it in 1994, but I happened to host the FIFA Media and Broadcast Partners Summit 2 weeks ago. We had global broadcasters from all over the world, from as far away as Australia and Korea to right here in North Texas. NBC and Telemundo were there. Sky Sports was there. The BBC was there. And they're just kind of blown away at this hospitable, you talk about Texas, Southern hospitality.
Right.
It's an hospitable business climate as well. And Monica Paul, who's the director of the Dallas Sports Commission, she is willing to do whatever it takes to get things done in the most above board, responsible, and best way possible. And I think you're seeing that with all the events that we're landing, particularly as it relates to the World Cup. The field is expanding to 48 teams for the first time ever, 104 matches. I think it's going to be the biggest sporting event in the world. And it's going to be something that we've never before experienced. And we've all experienced a lot here.
We have.
We've experienced a lot. And I just think I think we're all need a little patience. Need a little patience because a lot of people are going to be in town. And what's unique about our region, in my opinion, is that we have 9 matches. Houston has 7 matches. Kansas City has 6. If you think about it, you can drive Dallas to Houston. You can drive Dallas to Kansas City. So somebody really could have a regional experience here. And I think, from an economic impact standpoint, I sound like a news reporter now, but from an economic impact standpoint, it's going to be massive. Massive. The tourism, other markets will benefit. The Austins, the Fredericksburg, Central Texas is so great. It's going to benefit from a tourism aspect. The Pacific Northwest or the West Coast sees that too, with LA and San Francisco, San Jose hosting matches also. Vancouver and Seattle hosting matches. All those regional areas really do benefit, I think, from having that closeness that fans, because we know this about World Cup fans who come to visit. For Super Bowl fans, usually are in market 2 days, 2 nights, 2 hotel nights. For a World Cup, it's between 6 and 7 because it's a generational experience. People travel from all over the world to experience this. And we see Dallas as the perfect home base, being not truly technically, but really geographically from a big market, airport, and infrastructure standpoint, in the middle of north and south between Canada and Mexico, east and west between both coasts. You can really get in and out, whether it's through Love Field, DFW Airport, one of the FBOs in the market, or you're just driving. You can really experience a lot of the World Cup with the home base right here in North Texas. So I think we're going to see a massive influx of tourists, which is going to be amazing. Hotel nights are already contracted. We're doing like these speaking engagements with local chambers and business organizations to help them understand what the opportunity is. You may not be a Coca-Cola, right? You're not going to get to be a multi-million-dollar World Cup sponsor, but as a small business owner, you could, have a fencing company that could be a part of the World Cup because you're going to need a lot of fencing. Transportation provider, you're going to need a lot of private drivers for the World Cup. Party planner. Party planners should go to every single major company and plan a watch party, for a World Cup event in the market. So I just think there's so much business opportunity for this when it comes into town. And it really starts soon because the broadcasters are going to start coming here in the next few months just to scout and set up shop and find places to live and work and do all those things.
It's going to be huge for sure.
And you were here in 94. And I'll never forget this. I was in college in Houston at the time, and I stayed in Houston that summer, and I came back up a couple weekends during the World Cup. We'll never forget Dale Hansen, and you know this. Hansen's lead-in to a World Cup VOSOT, a World Cup story was, they say it's the biggest sporting event in the world. I don't believe it, but here's George Reba. And Dale, and we were all so cynical at the time. We didn't know how big of a deal this was at the time. Did you?
No, I didn't.
And you're on the air every day at that time, right?
I had no idea how big it was.
Yeah. Same.
And still, I don't know if I comprehend how big this is going to be even right now.
I probably don't either. I think a lot of us probably underestimate what we're going to experience from an influx of tourists. I think there are conversations to be had about how do we welcome the truly diverse set of cultures that are going to come here.
Yeah.
From people who are so different from us, and how do we respect their cultures and welcome them in the way that we know we're capable of welcoming them and making them feel so at home here in North Texas, whether it's religiously, culturally, from a food standpoint. There are just so many things that go into this experience that we haven't even thought of yet, and it's massive.
Got to put the best foot forward.
We do. It's really an audition, and I've heard this from other people in the market and who work in sports. They're like, oh yeah, I went to the World Cup in Germany and I became a fan of this team in Cologne. It is an audition. The Texas Rangers should have a couple homestands during the World Cup so that they can be an entertainment option for people wanting to come experience baseball. While they're here, the Mavs and Stars, they need to do a fantasy camp.
Yeah.
Right? Just give those opportunities.
Everybody needs to get into the act.
They do.
Everybody needs to capitalize on this.
In an authentic way, too. And there's opportunity for everyone, I think.
Gina Miller, you are a force.
No, you are, Mike.
No. You are a force to be reckoned with, and I cannot thank you enough for being here today.
I'm so appreciative of you asking. I really am. It's so good to see you. And whenever I see you, I always say we never get to see each other enough because we run into each
that's
other
right.
at various events. And you say that about people. And, someone like you that I grew up listening to is a college age girl, grew up listening to and respecting in the sports media business. It means so much to hear you say that, more than you know. So you're going to make me cry, Mike.
Back at you, girl. Back at you.
Well, now you know where he lives, so you can come over anytime you want.
Which is like 5 minutes from
Yeah.
where I grew up.
Yeah,
Right?
you
We're
can
all in the
stalk me
neighborhood,
if you
yeah.
want to. She is the great Gina Miller, and this has been your Dark Companion. Hope you enjoyed this today. We certainly did, because she is a font of great stuff. Now, don't forget, we are hitting the road once again. We're going to be at Doc B's coming up Thursday, March 20th. We'll be there at 3 o'clock. Grego will be there. I believe Expo is dropping by. We're going to get a little Hardline OG thing happening there, a little Hardline OG vibe, if you will. You can grab pregame dinner because there's a game going over there at the arena that night, and win passes to our first music roundtable at the Kessler Theater on April 21st. Get there early because we're giving away Stars tickets for that night's game. 2 tickets, parking for the Stars game March 20th to get to Doc B's early. Pre-game, have dinner, head over to the arena, get your head right with hockey and YDC and Shoopy and me and everything. So we will see you then.
Never mind. Just close this out.
Oh, dear.
What happened?
No, sure. Just
What?
say goodbye.
Was I supposed to read something?
Uh-oh.
That's okay.
I didn't know.
It's okay.
I did just read something, so...
I thought we were at the. I thought we were at the
would
middle
you
part
like
of it.
for me to read it and you can edit it in there in some way?
I mean, we're still live, I think.
We're technically still live.
Well, that's great.
You need to put
Isn't it fun?
All right, well let's read it then. In 3, 2.
And he does the countdown still.
so good.
So we're still live, huh?
I love you so much,
All right.
Mike. Mike, you're so handsome.
Thank you. Thank you. I know. All right, in 3, 2, 1. Around 7,000 of the existing 12,546 school districts in this great land of ours have either cut or massively decreased funding to the arts. And Stolen Water Media, that's us, and all of our podcast hosts are calling on you to make a difference. We're now selling Garland High School Film Program Real Owl Cinema, or ROC, Film Club t-shirts in advance of the ROC Film Festival. What you need to do is go to stolenwatermedia.com or stolenwatermedia.myshopify.com. That's stolenwatermedia.myshopify.com to purchase your own, or one for a child whose dreams you support, or both. So go by there. Let me give it to you again. Do it right this time. It's stolenwatermedia.myshopify.com. Go there, get the shirts, and set a kid up for life. Who knows?
Thanks, Mike.
Ashley, if you edit any of that, we're fighting.
I think I'm gonna leave it just for shits and gigs.
That's what I'm saying.
Good job, Mike.
You better edit the hell out of that.
I mean, it's partially my fault because I thought we were at the middle of the thing, not back at the beginning. So that's my bad. I'll take the L for that one.
No L's around here, only dubs.
only LOLs.
Yeah.
LMFBO or whatever.
LMBAO.
Yeah.
Are we still live?
Yeah, you gonna close this out?
Oh, we
You
didn't?
haven't said goodbye. I do not do anything until you say goodbye. Remember?
All right. In
Yeah.
that case, thanks to Gina Miller. Thanks to you guys for watching. If you'd like to know we'd like to know what you think about this stuff. So get a hold of us on social media and tell us what you think. Be back next. Bye.
I'm gonna go take my pants off.
Your Dark Companion is a Stolen Water Media presentation.